Danny Lightning here again with another CSR2 video. Today we're going to talk about which cars are really good for live racing to earn the most RP. When I first started playing this game, there wasn't really much of anything out to tell you which cars win good RP and do well in live racing. So I'm going to start off with T1. This is a Volkswagen GTI. This thing does really well. Once you max this car out, it'll win usually between 6 and 800 points. 6 and 800 RP per live race when you win. This is one of the fastest T1 cars in the game. So if all you have is a T1 car, this is awesome. Alright, the Volkswagen GTI is the car for you if you're trying to live race T1. If you want to live race in T2, you're going to get this Boxster 718. Alright, you can buy this with gold. It's a little expensive, but it's totally worth it. This car wins usually between 800 and 1,300 RP per race. So this car earns huge respect points. It's also one of the fastest T2 cars in the game, and it's totally worth the gold. Alright, I have the 1-star version that I won from the prize machine, or using silver keys, I guess you should say. I always call it this prize machine for some reason. But mine's not even maxed out yet. I don't have any stage 6 parts on this, and it just dominates at its current tune. I do have a bunch of Porsche Fusion parts in here, but I don't have the stage 6 parts, and right now I just win almost every live race with it. It's fast enough to beat every boss in the game with its current tune. This car is a beast for T2. So if you're looking for a T2 car for live racing and you haven't won one of these yet, spend the 750 gold and get this car. That is, if you have some Porsche parts to put in it. Porsche parts seem to be pretty common. Alright. So now we're going to go to T3. I haven't found a whole lot of T3 cars that I've liked for live racing. But the Volkswagen Rocket Bunny, which you do have to win, this seems like a really good one. And Amelia's Elbe M4, which is a boss car that you have to win by beating one of the Tempest bosses, is a really good Tier 3 live racing car. Both of those got pretty decent RP from what I remember, and they were both pretty easy to win races with. Alright. Unfortunately, a lot of these cars that do really well at live racing, you're going to have to win. Now I'm going to talk about T5 live racing really fast. T5 is rough. Alright, it's not very evenly matched. When I go into a T5 race, most of my T5 cars are losing by 1 to 3 seconds. I don't know why they're so poorly mismatched, but I cannot win a live race without detuning my transmission. And then my little Evo number goes down and the car barely gets any RP per race when it gets into a tune that it can win. So, I don't know, even most of my buddies that play this, the guys in my car club, they all say that they have a very hard time with live racing. At least most of them do when it comes to the T5 class. Now we're going to talk about T4, and I feel that T4 is the best spot for live racing. Number one, you still earn a decent amount of money. When you go in with a T4 car, I found most of these cars are pretty evenly matched. And they can earn a lot of RP. Now there's a pretty long list of cars that do really well for live racing on T4. Alright, most of these are going to win between 800 and 1400 RP per race. I mean, I've even won up to over 2000 RP per race on occasion. And I'm not sure why, but occasionally I get a huge chunk of RP. So my favorite T4 cars for live racing are the Ferrari F40, the Acura NSX, and the Mustang HPE 750. Now, if the only car you have, this is probably going to be the first T4 car that you buy, is the Nissan GTR. Okay, I think mine pulled in around 800 RP per race, and it usually did really well in the live racing. But I want cars that earn more RP. But if all you can get is the GTR, that's actually a pretty decent car for live racing. Alright, so right now I'm just going to go into the dealership instead of searching through all of my cars, because I've got like, I don't know, 15 garages or something. So it's a pain trying to find some of these cars quickly. Alright, so we're going to go in the dealership and we're going to look at all of the T4 cars. And we're going to talk about which ones are really good. Now, the time bracket that your car is in does make a very big difference. For example, I just got this RX-7, and as I've been upgrading it, you know, the more parts I put in, it runs a different time. And sometimes it will lose almost every race, and other times it will win almost every race. So, in certain time brackets, certain cars do seem to do a lot better. I haven't found out the sweet spot for this yet, as I'm still trying to level mine up. But this seems like it's going to be a really good car for live racing. Next, we're going to look at the NSX. In the time bracket of around 11.6, 11.7, 11.8, this car is extremely hard to beat. This car just beats the crap out of almost everything it races when you get it into that time bracket. Okay, my biggest problem with the Hondas is it seems very hard to get Honda parts. The game doesn't seem to give out that many Honda parts, so these are hard to get. But this is an extremely good live racing car. Okay, the Elbe NSX, which is an even better version of the same car, same thing. This is also excellent for live racing. In the same time bracket, I'm not really sure which one of these is better, because they both do extremely well, and they both earn usually over 1,000 to 1,500 RPs per race. So the NSX are excellent cars for live racing. Again, the GTR, one of the first T4 cars most people get because you can buy it with game cash. It's a nice live racing car, and it seems to earn decent RP. There's the other version of the GTR. This is one of the boss cars. I don't know anything about that. The Viper GTS. I personally have no experience with live racing this car, but a couple of my buddies say this thing earns really good RP. I'm not sure what time bracket they have it in, but they say they win a lot of races with it, and they earn really good RP. And this is one of those cars you can buy for game cash, alright? So this might not be a bad choice. Don't quote me on that, because like I said, I've never had the experience with it. Okay, the Mustang HPE 750. Mine is currently running around 12.0 to 12.2 on average race, and it wins around 800 to 1300 RP per race. And it's beating every car I race. I win 8 out of 10 races with this car. Now the thing is, I do have another stage 6 part that I can put on this car, and it'll run in the 11.7, 11.8 time bracket that I was telling you about, where those other cars dominate. The F40 and the NSX will beat this car every single time in that time bracket. But if I remove that stage 6 part and go back to the 12.0 to 12.2 time bracket, this car dominates and it beats everything. Alright, so these cars really do seem to depend on the time bracket. But the faster they run, usually the more RP they win as well. But I think since I win more races with the lower time bracket, I think I'm better off staying in the lower time bracket. Now in the higher time bracket, instead of winning 800 to 1300 RP per race, when I put that stage 6 part on this so it goes a little faster, I'm usually winning 1,000 to 1,500 RP per race. But I only win maybe half of the races instead of 8 out of 10. So I'm going to stick with the lower time bracket, because I actually earn a little more RP that way because I win more of the races. There we go. There's that F40. Awesome car. I mean, this is definitely one of the best live racing cars You can buy and strip a Ferrari to get live racing parts. I mean, to get fusion parts. You can buy and strip Fords to get fusion parts, which is cool. Alright, the Silvia S15 Rocket Bunny. This is another one of those cars that when you get it in the 11.8-ish time class, this thing is very hard to beat. Alright, this is a very good car. M4 GTS, same thing. None of my cars are really up past the 11.8 time class, so I don't know how they do once you get them into a faster time class. But this is another car that does extremely well in that same time class. Alright, this is another really good live racing car. And I think we're back to the start. So I think that pretty much covers it. There is one of these Audi R8s that do extremely well for live racing in that same 11.8-ish time bracket, but I'm not sure which one it is. I think there's 4 different versions of the V10 Plus Coupe, and I'm not sure if it's. I think 2 of them are T4 versions, and I think 2 of them are in Tier 5. And I'm not sure which one of these it is that seems to do really well in that same time bracket, but there is one of these Audis that do extremely well for live racing as well. But I think the Ferrari F40 and the the Mustang HPE 750 are 2 of my favorites when it comes to live racing. They seem to be very good for winning, depending on which time class you have them in. So that's pretty much my opinion on cars that are good for live racing. Like I said, I'm not going to get into T5 cars because every time I race my couple T5 cars, I just lose. I mean, I get destroyed every time. I don't know what the deal is. So I'm not going to go into live racing with T5 cars. So I think this should probably wrap up the video, and I hope this video helps you guys. Alrighty, thanks for watching. If you like my channel, please like and subscribe.